What is up, everyone? Welcome to the FAA podcast. It's good to be back after a fun weekend, for sure. There were many beverages consumed on Saturday, watching the Georgia game and whatnot. But it's a good weekend overall. I don't know about you. So let's get right into it. College football. There were a couple upsets. This one was not one of them, but Duke getting started on Friday there, quadruple header, 23-16 over Florida State. Brock Glenn for the Seminoles here. It's rough. They're one game out from being ineligible for a bowl, so it has been crazy here at FSU, and highly doubt that they will make a bowl. 5-0 down the stretch would be something else with Brock Glenn as your quarterback. But 47.4%, 110, 2 picks, 9 carries, 47 yards, a fumble. The turnovers, big issue in this one. Malik Murphy really didn't do anything for Duke's side. 50%, 70 yards. Luke Kromenhoek came in as well for FSU, freshman, 42.9%, just 3 of 7 for 19 yards. Star Thomas for the Blue Devils. He led the game in rushing, 21 carries, 88 yards and a touchdown. The leading receiver in this one was FSU's wide receiver Ja'Kai Douglas, 4 for 48. A lot of defensive performances. I am going to go with Duke linebacker Alex Howard, 5 tackles, 3 solos, 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss. We also had a special teams and defensive touchdown. Duke corner Chandler Rivers, 36-yard pick 6, and FSU's running back Samuel Singleton Jr., 95-yard kickoff return touchdown in this one. But yeah, Duke looking good. They are right there near the top of the ACC, fighting with the big boys, Clemson and Miami, right now for a spot in the ACC title game in about a month, ish, a little over a month. Duke covered -2.5, under 41.5. Number 2, Oregon, 35-zip over Purdue. And yeah, I feel like I'm gonna bash Oregon again. Bro, how do you only beat Purdue 35-0? That's my one thing. And once again, I know they beat Ohio State. However, that was in Eugene, for one. And for two, Dylan Gabriel, bro, stop turning the ball over. Good Lord, another interception in this game. I don't know what he's up to. I'd have to check the stats, but I mean, I was listening to this game, and I'm like, bro, another interception. Come on, man. It's ridiculous. Anyways, Boilermakers quarterback Ryan Brown was not very good. Just 47.4%, 93 yards a pick, 14 carries, 48 yards. The Oregon defense was great all night in a game that I had the over, which was fun to lose because Oregon couldn't score enough points. Running back Reggie Love led the game in rushing for Purdue, 11 carries, 93 yards. 2 touchdown night for his counterpart, Jordan James, on the Ducks side on his 10 carries. Oregon wide receiver Evan Stewart led the game in receiving, 4 for 96 defensively. We go with Oregon linebacker Devin Jackson, 4 tackles, 3 solos, 1 sack, 2 tackles for loss. Oregon did cover, though, -29.5, under 60.5 easily. Number 13, BYU, close one, 38-35 over Oklahoma State. And, yeah, after this game, I was like, all right, BYU 7-0. The Big 12's been weird. So I went ahead. I put a future on BYU to win the Big 12. Why not, right? The Cougars, they got a shot at it. I mean, really, when you think about it, who else has been anywhere near consistent in the Big 12 this year. No one. So I think BYU's got a good shot at winning the conference now at 7-0. Jake Retzlaff wasn't a great game for him, just 50%, 218, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, 9 carries, 81 yards of rushing score. Great on the ground, though, in this game. Oklahoma State was interesting. I believe they started Garrett Rangel, 66.7%, 6 of 9, 51 yards, touchdown, a pick, 5 carries, 77 yards. And then Alan Bowman came in. I think Rangel got hurt. So Bowman comes in 57.9%, 85 yards, touchdown, a pick, 3 carries, 19 yards, and an 11-yard receiving touchdown as well. Cougars running back LJ Martin over 100 rushing, 20 carries, 120 yards, 2 touchdowns. Ollie Gordon also over 100 for the Cowboys, 16 for 107, 2 touchdowns, 3 catches, 20 yards of receiving score as well. He loves playing BYU. They were talking about it during the game. Last year he had 5 touchdowns. This one he has 3. So 8 total touchdowns in the last 2 games he's played against the Cougars. Ollie loves playing BYU. Leading the game in receiving, BYU's wide receiver Darius Laster up over 100, 6 for 129 and a touch. And then 2 touchdown game for Oklahoma State wide receiver Brendan Presley. He caught a touchdown. He had an 11-yard rush, and then he threw the 16-yard touchdown to Alan Bowman. And defensively, I am going to go – let's go to the top guy there. Oklahoma State safety Parker Robertson, 11 tackles, 8 solos, 1 pass defense, and a pick. Oklahoma State plus 7.5 covers, over 52.5, 73. Fresno State closing out Friday night, 24-21 over Nevada. Mikey Keene, 65%, 190 a pick. Wasn't great, but didn't really have to be. For Nevada, they played 2 quarterbacks. Brendan Lewis, 68.4%, 158 a touchdown, 16 carries, 38 yards, and a rushing score as well. Chuba Purdy coming in, playing a bit as well, 60%, just 3 of 5, 53 yards. Fresno running back Elijah Gilliam led the game in rushing, 20 carries, 66 yards, 2 scores on the night, 2 catches for 74 yards. Nevada wide receiver Jaden Smith, he led the game in receiving with a 100-yard performance, 9 for 134. And defensively, it's Fresno linebacker Malachi Langley, 13 tackles, 7 solos, 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss. Fresno State minus 2.5 covered by the hook, under 49.5. On to Saturday, number 6 Miami get to 7-0, 52-45 over Louisville. And I know y'all were commenting about this game. Again, I was not watching it, but sure. I liked the score. I picked Miami, so that's cool. You did have what did you have on this one?
I think I had Miami, but I was rooting for Louisville. That was a fumble by Cam Ward, by the way.
Have not seen it. Don't know. Couldn't tell you.
So what happened was, imagine this is the football. They said he threw it, but you see, he's like doing this. His hand gets hit. He loses the ball, and then he like pushes the ball, kind of like. It's like on the end of his hand, he just kind of goes like that. So I guess it goes forward, but he had no possession of the ball as it's going forward, if that makes sense. He lost it here. His hand kept going. His hand like doesn't have the ball and just kind of pushes the ball forward. So it looked like he lost possession before he could start the forward pass.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. Cool. I don't know.
That's just
Miami won though. Miami did win though. Both quarterbacks played outstanding. Louisville quarterback Tyler Schuff, 60.8%, 342, 4 touchdowns. Cam Ward, 65.6%, 319, 4 scores, and 7 years ago. 7 carries, 29 yards. Damian Martinez led the game in rushing for the Canes. 12 carries, 89 yards to score. Seemed like everyone scored in this game. Miami wide receiver Samuel Brown up over 100, 3 for 125, a touchdown. His teammate Xavier Restrepo also had a 100-yard game, 7 for 101 and a score. And Louisville wide receiver Ja'Cory Brooks, 6 for 107, 2 scores. His teammate Colin Lacey, not that involved in offensively, but 100-yard kickoff return touchdown for him. And then defensively, I got to go with the touchdown score there. Miami linebacker Raul Aguirre Jr., 2 tackles, 1 solo, and a 0-yard fumble return recovery for a touchdown. Miami did cover -4.5, over 60.5, 97. Number 10, Clemson beating Virginia 48-31. Cade Klubnik was outstanding. 65.7%, 308, 3 touchdowns, a pick, 6 carries, 29 yards as well. UVA playing a couple quarterbacks. Anthony Calandria, 57.7%, 159, 2 touchdowns, a fumble. Tony Muskett coming in pretty decent, actually. 6 of 7, 85.7%, 119, 2 scores, just shy of a perfect QB rating. Clemson running back Phil Maffa led the game in rushing, 18 carries, 78 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a 22-yard catch. Leading the game in receiving was Clemson wide receiver TJ Moore, 4 for 78 and a touchdown. 2-touchdown day for his teammate, tight end Olsen Pat Henry. How about the all-purpose day for their other teammate, wide receiver Antonio Williams, caught 3 for 44 receiving, had a 36-yard rushing touchdown, and threw a 34-yard pass. And then defensively, I'm going to go with Clemson linebacker Wade Woodaz, 7 tackles, 3 solos, 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss, and 1 pass defensed. Virginia actually covered a +20.5, over 56.5. Some scoring going on in the early window there, 79 in that game. Didn't stop with this game. Number 16, Indiana. Go Hoosiers, baby! 56-7 rout of Nebraska. It did come at a cost, which I'll talk about. But, yeah, dude, I thought this game was going to be decently close. And Kurt Signetti said, I got you. Hold my beer. Dylan Raiola for the Huskers, he had a rough day. He had a freshman type of day. 63.6%, 234, 3 picks and a fumble. Curtis Rourke for Indiana there, 81%, just outstanding. Only 189 yards, touchdown, a pick. Taven Jackson, the sophomore, he actually came in, played really well. 7 for 8, 87.5%, 91 yards, 2 touchdowns. Again, just like Tony Muskett, just a hair short of perfect QB rating. And then 2 carries for 21 yards there for Jackson. Heinrich Harburg also played a bit for the Huskers, 0 for 2 passing, but 5 carries, 32 yards to lead Nebraska in rushing. Leading the game in rushing, though, with a 100-yard day was Indiana's running back Justice Ellison, 9 carries, 105 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 catches for 16 yards, and he did not complete the pass attempt he had. Leading the game in receiving was Nebraska tight end Thomas Fidone II, 6 for 91. And defensively, I'm going to go with Nebraska linebacker Mekhi Gebayer, 4 tackles, 3 solos, 1 sack, 2 tackles for loss. Indiana -6.5 covers easily, and they hit the over 47.5 by themselves. Number 19, Mizzou, struggling against Auburn, 21-17, but getting the win in the final seconds. Brady Cook got banged up in this game, I heard, but Drew Pine did enough, and Cook actually came back in and apparently led the scoring drive that got them the win. Cook 50%, 194. Like I said, Drew Pine also playing 47.6%, 78 yards and a fumble. Peyton Thorne for the Auburn Tigers, 58.6%, 176, 1 touchdown, 11 carries, 18 yards, and a fumble. Jarquez Hunter led the game in rushing for Auburn, 19 carries, 57 yards, 2 catches for 28 yards. Missouri wide receiver Mookie Cooper leading the game in receiving, 2 catches, 84 yards. And defensively, the whole host of good performances. I'm going to go with 2 guys, though. Auburn linebacker Eugene Asante, 7 tackles, 6 solos, 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, and then his teammate corner Antonio Kite, a 0-yard fumble recovery for a touchdown. Auburn plus 4.5 covered, under 49.5. How about number 23, Army, 7-0 Black Knights, 45-28 over East Carolina. Bryson Daly's a monster, dude. He is just wrecking every single team they play. Caton Hauser for the Pirates, though, 63.2%, 282, 3 touchdowns, a pick, 4 carries, 13 yards, and a rushing score. So really a great day overall. Hauser accounting for 4 touchdowns, all 4 of ECU scores. But Bryson Daly, like I mentioned, though, 70% passing, just 7 of 10, 147 yards, touchdown, 31 carries, 171 yards, and 5 touchdowns. That is a quarterback with that rushing stat line, people. Yeah, it is Army, but still, he has been just running through every single person. Kanye Udo also over 100 for Army, 19 carries, 102 yards.
Did we lose Rusty?
No.
I'm guessing he was going to say he has been incredible.
No, you did not lose me.
Oh, I lost you over on this side.
Yeah, Udo over 100 yards as well. And leading the game in receiving over 100 yards, ECU wide receiver Chase Sowell, 7 receptions, 138, and a touchdown. Defensively, there was not a ton of stats. I'm going to go with the Army corner Justin Weaver, though. 2 tackles, 1 solo, a half tackle for loss, and a pick. ECU did cover, though, actually, plus 18.5. And over 54.5, 73 in that game. Bruh, Cincinnati got us. 24-14 over ASU. Yeah, I just thought that Jeff Sims being the veteran he was, the amount of time he played at Georgia Tech, all that experience, it really wouldn't – they wouldn't miss a step with not having Sam Levitt, but obviously they did. They ran the ball well with Siadabu, but just wasn't enough to quell Brendan Sorsby and Corey Kiner. Sorsby there, 74.2%, 206, a pick, 7 carries, 26 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns. Jeff Sims, like I mentioned, 52.2%, 155, 14 carries, 53 yards. Corey Kiner over 100 for the Bearcats, 22 carries, 102 yards, 2 catches for 17 yards. Cam Scadaboo did have a good day in the loss, accounted for both of Sun Devils touchdowns there, 17 carries, 75 yards, 2 scores. Did have a fumble, though, 4 receptions for 33 yards. Up over 100 was ASU wide receiver Jordan Tyson, 6 for 108. That is crazy. 108 yards receiving. Jeff Sims only threw for 155. Do the math. And then defensively, Cincinnati linebacker Jared Bartlett, 7 tackles, 2 solos, 1 sack, 1.5 tackles for loss. Cincinnati covered minus 4.5, under 50.5. Look, Louisiana getting it done. The Rage Cajuns, 34-24 over Coastal Carolina. Ben Woolridge was outstanding. 75%, 373, 3 touchdowns, the rushing score as well. Doesn't get much better than that for the Cajuns quarterback there. Coastal playing 2 quarterbacks. Noah Kim getting the start, I believe. 16 of 25, 64%, 182, 2 touchdowns. Ethan Vasco, this is dreadful. 30%, 3 of 10 for 10 yards. They did get a lot of help from their running back. Braden Bennett had himself a day. 13 carries, 132 yards, touchdown, 5 catches, 22 yards, a receiving score as well. Louisiana also had a 100-yard rusher, Bill Davis, 19 carries, 110, 6 catches, 52 yards, a receiving score. Louisiana had tight end Terrence Carter have a monster receiving day, 7 for 149 and its touchdown. And defensively, I'm going Coastal linebacker Clev Lubin, 6 tackles, 4 solos, 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss. Louisiana covered -6.5 over 56.5. Go Vols! Number 11, Tennessee, baby. 24-17 over number 7, Alabama. Someone on the show picked Alabama. Lone Wolf.
Yeah, I can't imagine who that could be.
I think it was...
definitely not the guy that had Milroe as his Heisman pick.
Yeah, I think it
Couldn't
was
be
that same guy, yeah.
Oh, no.
Milroe, he struggled a lot in this game. For 55.6%, 239 touchdown, 2 picks, 14 carries, 11 yards. No, but that was one of the things I thought, this was the toughest test really for Alabama. Since the Georgia game, and I don't know, it was on the road. It was in Knoxville. That's also one of the big factors why I picked Tennessee as well. So, yeah, it's I think some people are saying this was an elimination game potentially for. I don't think college football playoff necessarily, but definitely SEC championship game. I think Alabama's out. I don't think they are going to have any shot at it right now. Nico Iamaleava got injured in this game, but was able to return, luckily for Tennessee. Wasn't that great, 51.9%, 194, touchdown and a pick, 9 carries, 44 yards, but he didn't have to be. He did not have to be that good because got a lot of help from his running back, Dylan Sampson there, but Gaston Moore also playing sparingly, like I said, when Nico got hurt, 0 for 1 with an interception. So that experiment did not work out. But Dylan Sampson was fantastic. 26 carries, 139, 2 touchdowns, and a fumble. Leading the game in receiving was Tennessee wide receiver Brew McCoy, 6 for 80. And defensively, about the day for Tennessee defensive lineman James Pierce Jr., 3 tackles, 2 solos, 1.5 sacks, 1.5 tackles for loss. Tennessee plus 3.5 wins outright under 57.5. And yeah, like Alabama really, they don't have any other games. Or actually, no, they have 2 more ranked games. They play Mizzou this weekend in Tuscaloosa. Then they go to LSU. So I think if Alabama loses in Baton Rouge, I think we're going to have to start having a conversation about no Alabama in the college football playoff, because I know people are talking about, like, if you have 3 good losses, like, potentially, but I just think there's too many other good teams that you can't put them in over other teams that have 1 or 2 losses. So
yeah, and the problem with good losses is just, is it good to lose to Vandy?
it is now because they're
Can you? I'm sure
25th now.
they are ranked. I was going to say it is now, but still, it's like that's a team that everyone beat up for decades. And in the playoffs, you play ranked teams, and if you're 1-3 on the season against ranked teams, I can't with a straight face say you deserve to play more ranked teams in the playoffs.
Yeah, which to be honest, I was surprised Vandy actually got ranked this week, considering they did not beat Ball State by a lot. But that's just me.
Yeah, I wonder who's on the chopping block that just missed.
I can tell you right now. It was so Michigan went out, and so the next one up was Washington State. Washington State, Syracuse. Those are the people with the most points. Washington State, Syracuse, UNLV, Duke, South Carolina, Liberty, and Nebraska. All the other teams that received votes.
Yeah. I mean, I could see Washington State pretty soon. I mean, Vandy's playing Texas next week. I don't think they're going to survive.
Yeah, probably not. All right. Number 12, Notre Dame, 31-13 over Georgia Tech. Someone lone wolfed Tech as well. Logan, I believe.
That was Logan.
Yeah. Yeah, it was not a great week for lone wolves, by the way. I was the only one that got a win. You were 0-2, Logan 0-3. I went 1-1. But yeah, again, the reason I picked Notre Dame, no Haynes King for Georgia Tech. I figured they would not be able to get enough offense without him at quarterback. So I flipped my pick from Georgia Tech to Notre Dame midweek last week. Once I heard Haynes King probably wasn't going to play. And yeah, Georgia Tech did not have any offense. And this one was actually a neutral site game, technically, even though Georgia Tech has a stadium in Atlanta. This one they played at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Zach Pyron, 55.6%, 269, touchdown, 2 picks, 13 carries, 45 yards. Riley Leonard, I think this Notre Dame offense is like finally getting somewhere, passing the ball. 69%, 203, a pick, 10 carries, 51 yards, 2 touchdowns. That aspect has to stay, though. Notre Dame's going to be anywhere near successful, in the college football playoff if they make it. Riley Leonard has to keep producing with his legs. Jadarian Price led the game in rushing for the Irish, 8 for 69. Leading the game in receiving was Georgia Tech wide receiver Abdul Janae Jr., 1 catch for 60 yards. And a lot of defensive plays here. I'm going to go with Notre Dame safety Aiden Schuler, 3 tackles, 2 solos, and a 36-yard pick six. Notre Dame minus 14.5, covered under 49.5. Number 22, Illinois, beating number 24, Michigan, 21-7, as we all rejoice. Michigan, thank God, finally unranked, as they should have been weeks ago. Jack Tuttle, though, I think Michigan does have something in him, as they actually had a passing game. 62.5%, 208, 1 pick, and a fumble. It was weird. I kind of wish I would have caught this game because, like, you look at that stat line with Luke Altmaier, you would have thought that Illinois didn't win, because I thought Illinois, in order to win this game, was going to have to – Luke Altmaier is going to have to be the guy to win it. But he wasn't. He didn't have to, even though he did score 2 touchdowns out of the 3 that they had. But just 50%, 80 yards, a touchdown, 10 carries, 48 yards rushing score as well. Michigan running back Kalel Mullings, he led the game in rushing, 19 carries, 87 yards, touchdown, 8-yard reception as well. Michigan tight end Colson Loveland led the game in receiving, 7 for 83. And, dude, there was a lot of defense in this one with only 28 points. How about Illinois linebacker Gabe Jackas? 13 tackles, 6 solos, 2.5 sacks, 2.5 tackles for loss. Illinois plus 5.5 wins outright, under 44.5. Midshipmen are still undefeated. Number 25 Navy are going bowling, 51-7 rout of Charlotte. Max Brown, the former Florida quarterback, playing for the 49ers here, 38.9%, 152, 2 touchdowns, 3 picks, 18 carries, 67 yards. Trexler Ivy also playing a bit for Charlotte, 33.3%, 1 of 3 for 11 yards and a pick. Navy quarterback Clayton I always want to say Clayton Horvath. Blake Horvath, 7 of 13, 53.8%, 117, 3 touchdowns, 13 carries, 56 yards. I went to high school with a guy named Clayton Horvath. That's why I always want to say Clayton. Yeah, Navy fullback Alex Texa, he led the game in rushing, 8 carries, 68 yards, 2 touchdowns, a 46-yard receiving score as well, 3 total for Texa on the day. Leading receiver in this one, Charlotte wide receiver Miles Burris, 48-yard catch on his only reception. And, dude, how about the day? Navy corner Deshaun Peel had himself a day. 3 tackles, 2 solos, a sack, tackle for loss, 1 pass defense, and not 1, but 2 pick sixes, 61 and 84 yards. That's crazy. Navy minus 16.5 covered over 57.5. Just talking about Washington State, Wazoo getting it done, 42-10 romp over Hawaii. John Mateer had himself a day, 85.2%, 295, 3 touchdowns, 8 carries, 34 yards, 2 rushing scores, 5 total for Mateer on the day. Excellent, excellent player. Jackson Potter also came in, completed both of his passes for 25 yards. Braden Shager for the Rainbow Warriors, 66.7%, 196, touchdown, a pick, and a fumble. Washington State running back Javensky Schlenbaker, he led the game in rushing, 8 carries, 48 yards. Leading the game in receiving was Wazoo wide receiver Chris Hudson, 7 for 90 and a touchdown. And defensively, great game for Washington State defensive lineman Ansel Din Embu, 4 tackles, 2 solos, 1.5 sacks, 2.5 tackles for loss. Washington State minus 18.5 covered easily under 54.5. Toledo, what a barn burner that we had. This is Maction right here. 13-6 over Northern Illinois. You know, there was not a lot of stats when the stats don't even go down to the ticker there. For the Huskies, it was Josh Holst, 47.8%, 210, 14 carries, 48 yards. The Rockets quarterback, John Allen Richter. Yeah. Sounds like he should have been in like the freaking 1840s. 53.6%, 152, a touchdown. Toledo running back Connor Walenzak, 19 carries, 78 yards, 2-yard reception to lead the game in rushing. Leading the game in receiving was NIU wide receiver Cam Thompson, 5 for 80. And defensively, I am going to go with, how about Toledo safety Emmanuel McNeil Warren? 12 tackles, 10 of them solos, and 1 pass defense. Your cousin there, Devontae O'Malley, Jimmy, he had a good game too.
He might brother be from another mother.
Yeah, looking he good. Might be like cousin like 3 times removed.
I'll tell him to, tell his offense to figure it out.
Well, tell him if the offense isn't going to do it, he's just got to make it score on defense.
Yeah, you know what? You go on offense.
Toledo plus 3.5 wins outright under 42.5, and another one bites the dust for Logan's Lone Wolves there. I told him NIU is not Rusty's Huskies anymore. Washington is Rusty's Huskies now.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you've moved your Rusty's Huskies fandom, and there's only one.
Yeah. Baylor. How about Baylor upsetting Texas Tech, and not by a little? They routed them 59-35. And this was at Texas Tech. This was in Lubbock. Baron Morton, it's hard to blame him. 67.3%, 286, 3 touchdowns, a pick. But Sawyer Robertson, he balled out 65.6%, 274, 5 touchdown passes, and 4 carries for 16 yards. Tech tight end Jalen Conyers, he also threw a 20-yard touchdown pass on his only throw. Didn't catch any in this game. And Texas Tech got a lot of help from the running game. Taj Brooks continues to have a great season. 25 carries, 125 yards, touchdown, 4 catches for 22 yards. 2-touchdown day for Baylor running back Bryson Washington. Texas Tech wide receiver Caleb Douglas, he had a great day. 9 catches, 99 yards, 3 touchdowns. Also, 3 touchdown day for Baylor wide receiver Josh Cameron, 6 for 75, 3 scores. And defensively, I'm going to go with Baylor linebacker Steve Linton. 5 tackles, all of them solos, 1 sack, 3 tackles for loss. Baylor plus 4.5 wins outright, over 55.5 by themselves. 94 points in that game. Georgia Southern. Gasso getting it done over JMU. We all picked the Dukes in this one, but they downed by 2 touchdowns, 28-14. J.C. French was pretty good. I mean, he was obviously up and down there, but 72.7% really good, 215. 3 touchdowns, but he did throw 3 interceptions. Good and bad there. I was surprised. Alonzo Barnett was not good in this game. 53.7%, 186, 1 touchdown. He had been the driving force behind JMU's 5-1 start, and just wasn't his day. Georgia Southern running back Jalen White, good day for him. 23 carries, 134 yards, 2 catches for 21 yards. Leading the game in receiving was Eagles wide receiver Derwin Burgess Jr., 5 for 52 and a touchdown. And there's a lot of good defense in this game. I love touchdown scorers, but I'm going to have 2 defensive players of the game. I'm going to go with Gasso linebacker Marcus Watson-Trent, 14 tackles, 4 of them solos, 1.5 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, and 1 pass defense. And then JMU corner DJ Barksdale, 5 tackles, 4 solos, and 11-yard pick 6. Georgia Southern plus 8.5 wins outright, under 57.5. Number 14, Texas A&M, 34-24 Mississippi State. So this proves it was not just Georgia, because Texas A&M did the same exact thing. They only beat Mississippi State by 10. So I'm just saying it was not Georgia's issue, as we saw, which we'll talk about. But how about Michael Van Buren for Van Buren Jr., I should say, for Mississippi State? 53.7%, 242, 3 touchdowns, a pick. Connor Wegman, not great, but got the job done. 60%, 217, touchdown, 2 picks, 3 carries for 14 yards. Mississippi State running back Devon Booth, he led the game in rushing, 12 carries, 79 yards, 2 catches, 31 yards, and a receiving touchdown. A&M running back Le'Veon Moss had 2 scores on the ground. Their wide receiver Jabray Barber, Troy transfer, he led the game in receiving, 6 for 92. And a lot of defense in this game. I am going to go with A&M linebacker Scooby Williams, 6 tackles, 2 solos, 2 tackles for loss, 1 pass defense, and a pick. Mississippi State plus 21.5 covers easily, over 55.5. Number 8, LSU, 34-10 beatdown of Arkansas. Taylon Green returned to the lineup for the Razorbacks, 67.7%, 239, 1 touchdown, a pick. Garrett Nussmeier didn't have to do a lot, but 67.6%, 233. Caden Durham, over 100 for the Tigers in this one, 21 carries, 101 yards, 3 touchdowns, 7-yard reception as well. Arkansas wide receiver Andrew Armstrong led the game in receiving, 7 for 94 and a touchdown. And defensively, I'm going to go with LSU linebacker Whit Weeks, 9 tackles, 5 solos, 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss, 1 pass defense, and a pick. LSU minus 2.5 covers easily, under 55.5. Number 9, Iowa State. The Cyclones are undefeated still, 38-35 over UCF, and I think that's the other team probably in the Big 12. BYU, Iowa State. That's it. Those are the 2. I can look up the Big 12 standings here real quick, but those are the 2. Those are the only 2 undefeated teams left in the Big 12. They're both 4-0 in conference play, with Kansas State. Well, it's Kansas State, Texas Tech, Cincinnati, Colorado, all 3-1 in conference play. So it's still a lot of time to get interesting, but I think Iowa State, BYU definitely look like the 2 best teams. Rocco Becht, not good. He really was not that great passing the ball anyways. 43.5%, 274 touchdown, 2 picks. But they got a lot from his legs. 20 carries, 97 yards, 2 touchdowns. Same story for UCF. Ja'Cory Brown, not good passing at all. 40%, 62 yards, 2 picks. But on the ground, he was electric. 13 carries, 154 yards, 2 touchdowns. And really the ground game is what kept UCF in this game. They ran for 354 yards and 4 rushing touchdowns on 39 carries, 9.1 yards per carry as a team. A lot of that was RJ Harvey as well, who I think I wish UCF was not that bad record-wise, because RJ Harvey is a guy I would love to get more national attention. 25 carries, 96 yards, 2 touchdowns for him. Carson Hansen had 2 touchdown night for the Cyclones. Big receiving night for Iowa State wide receiver Jalen Noel, 8 for 153. And defensively, got to go with the touchdown guy here, UCF defensive back Brandon Adams, 1 tackle, 1 pass defense, then a 63-yard pick 6. UCF plus 13.5 covers easily over 49.5, 73 game. Number 17, Kansas State, beating up West Virginia in Morgantown, 45-18. Avery Johnson was pristine pretty much, 65.5%, 298, 3 touchdowns. West Virginia playing a couple quarterbacks here, 47.4% for Garrett Green, 85 yards, touchdown, 2 picks, 11 carries, 89 yards. And Nico Marchiol, 46.2%, 58 yards and a touchdown. KSU running back DJ Giddens was the leading rusher outside of Green there. 2 touchdown night for him. Kansas State wide receiver Jaden Jackson, he led the game in receiving, 2 for 84 and a touchdown. And defensively, another defensive touchdown here. Big night for KSU safety Marcus Sigil, 9 tackles, 4 solos, 2 tackles for loss, 1 pass defense, and a 43-yard pick 6. KSU minus 2.5 covered easily over 55.5. Memphis in a barn burner over North Texas, 52-44. Big night passing for both quarterbacks. Chandler Morris for the Mean Green, 59%, 445, 3 touchdowns, a pick, 10 carries, 71 yards, a rushing touchdown, 4 total for Morris there. Seth Hennigan for the Tigers, 63.2%, 319 touchdown and a rushing score. They got a massive night on the ground from their running back, Mario Anderson Jr., 22 carries, 183, 4 touchdown rush, 5 catches for 27 yards as well. North Texas wide receiver DT Sheffield, he led the game in receiving, 8 for 122, 2 touchdowns, 2 carries for 82 yards, a rushing score, and a fumble. So 3 total for Sheffield there. And then defensively, how about the night for Memphis defensive lineman William Whitlow Jr., 6 tackles, 5 solos, 1 sack, 2 tackles for loss. North Texas did cover plus 10.5, over 67.5, 96. Go Dogs, baby. Number 5, Georgia, 30-15 over number 1, Texas in Austin. Yes, sir. Watching this one at the bar. Literally like the only college football game I watched on Saturday. Then, yeah. Do I remember a lot of it? No, I do not, sir.
Only the good parts.
But I do remember us hitting and sacking Quinn Ewers quite a bit. And I remember Trevor Etienne running for 3 touchdowns. And to be honest, I really didn't remember a lot about the weirdness of the DPI call and then no call. But Texas fans, as they should have, Texas got fined a big fine. I think from the SEC. I couldn't remember if it was from the NCAA or the SEC. I think it was from the SEC, though. SEC gave them a hefty fine for the fans throwing trash on the field. And yeah, I mean, that's disrespectful to say the least. And sorry, Texas. I told y'all on Friday that I did not feel like Texas was ready for the big boys in the SEC. They had beaten the other people in the SEC, but Georgia's a different animal. And Carson Beck didn't even play that well, and we still won. So do with that what you will. Georgia back up to number 2 in the rankings now. And I think, to be honest, I think it's only a matter of time until Georgia's back at number 1, especially in a couple weeks once we get the CFP rankings. I think the CFP will hold Georgia in very high regard, as they have in the past. So, yeah. But like I said, Oregon, though, like, they're not out of the woods, although I don't think they're going to lose to Illinois. That's really their hardest game left. Other than that, they play Michigan, which we will both love to watch Oregon just completely destroy Michigan at the Big House. That would be a good time. They got Maryland, Washington, and they're at Wisco. So that is the second hardest game that they have left in terms of record, anyways. Because Michigan, Maryland, and Washington are all 4-3. Wisconsin's 5-2, and Illinois, number 20 in the country, 6-1. So, yeah, I mean, Oregon has a great shot at going undefeated. Really, they do. I think they will, more than likely. But it would be intriguing to watch the outcry and the SEC haters if we get the first college football playoff rankings and Georgia with 1 loss is above Oregon with no losses. That I would laugh so hard. So hard. Anyways, I don't know if you had anything else for this game before I go into the stats.
No, I mean, the only thing I'll say is, I mean, if throwing garbage onto the field overturns a call, I don't know why Ohio State fans didn't start throwing crap at the Oregon game. Maybe that would have helped them win.
Because it was in Eugene.
Yeah, you know what? I'll do it. I'll start doing it. Bad call. Start throwing shit. Remember that Browns game way back in the 90s? Bring it back.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, we do not endorse doing this here at FAA. We are making a joke.
Quinn Ewers, 58.1%, 211, 2 touchdowns, a pick, 2 fumbles. Evened it out when Carson Beck threw for 56.1%, 175, 3 picks. So, safe to say, none of us are hitting on our Heisman pick this year. Arch Manning also played in this game, and he was fantastic. As a Georgia fan, he was awesome. 50%, 3 of 6, 19 yards, and a fumble, strip sack. That was great to see. Trevor Etienne, he was player of the game, though. 19 carries, 87 yards, 3 touchdowns, 3 receptions for 25 yards. Matthew Golden led the game in receiving, 3 for 77 for the Longhorns. And defensively, dude, I mean, Georgia 8. Georgia linebacker Jalen Walker, 8 tackles, all of them solos, 3 sacks, 3 tackles for loss. He was fantastic. And it was funny, too, because when I was at the bar, I do the signals every down that it is when we're on defense, and I kept switching because I was like, I can't do this for second down like I usually do. I can't. I got to do this one. You can't do this when you're playing Texas. No, it's this number 2. Georgia plus 4.5 wins outright, under 56.5. Go Dogs. That was one thing I was surprised. I had this game. I thought this game was going to be similar to the Alabama game. I thought there was going to be a ton of points, but it was really that both defenses just locked it down really most of the day. Number 21, Stanford blowing out SMU blowing out Stanford 40-10. I think this was on the farm too. So Kevin Jennings for the Mustangs, 63%, 322, 3 touchdowns, a pick, 10 carries, 18 yards. Stanford quarterback Elijah Brown, 50%, 153 touchdown, 2 picks. Ashton Daniels, the normal starter. I don't know if he got hurt in this game or what. Just 2 of 5, 40% for 20 yards. SMU running back Rashad Smith led the game in rushing, 8 for 67 and 9-yard reception. His teammate Roderick Daniels Jr., 2 fumbles in this game. Didn't end up hurting. 2 touchdowns for their other teammate, LJ Johnson Jr. And leading the game in receiving was SMU wide receiver Moochie Dixon, 87-yard touchdown reception on his only catch. And defensively, how about the night for SMU defensive end Jafari Harvey, 3 tackles, all of them solos, 2 sacks, 3 tackles for loss. SMU minus 16.5 covers easily, under 52.5. Final FBS game here, UNLV 33-25 over Oregon State. Giovanni McCoy was actually very good for the Beavers, 56.8%, 231, 16 carries, 81 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns. Haj Malik Williams, though, he continues. He's been great, awesome for the Rebels. 55.6%, 196 touchdown, 1 pick, 13 carries, 65 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns. Oregon State running back Anthony Hankerson led the game in rushing outside of HM Dub there. 17 for 61, touchdown, a fumble, 2 catches for 4 yards. UNLV wide receiver Ricky White obviously led the game in receiving, tied for the lead, I should say, in receiving, 9 for 88, touchdown. Oregon State wide receiver Trent Walker also had 9 for 88 yards. And then, dude, the night for UNLV defensive end Antonio Doyle Jr., massive night for him. 10 tackles, 5 solos, 3 sacks, 3 tackles for loss, and 1 pass defense. UNLV minus 6.5 covers, under 61.5. FCS game of the week. Man, I was shocked when I saw this score yesterday morning. I was like, dang, man, South Dakota State lost. What the hell? My lone wolf. To be fair, it was at the Fargo Dome. It was not a home game for South Dakota State, so that is something. And they did not fall that far. North Dakota State went to 1. South Dakota State went to 3. So it was not a far fall for the Jackrabbits, and they will definitely be back. I still think they have a great shot the way they've been playing it to win a 3rd straight title. Cam Miller, though, for the Bison, 74.1%, 163, 2 touchdowns, 9 carries, 24 yards. Mark Gronowski struggled. The NDSU defense was outstanding all night, as you can see, only 9 points allowed. 58.6%, 118, a pick, 13 carries, 77 yards. South Dakota State quarterback Chase Mason led the game in rushing, actually. 5 carries, 80 yards, and a touchdown. Leading the game in receiving for North Dakota State was wide receiver Rajah Nelson, 4 for 48 and 2 touchdowns. And defensively, just one guy to note, NDSU linebacker Logan Kopp. He had the pick off of Gronowski. North Dakota State plus 1.5 wins outright, under 52.5 quite easily. Let's go to London, the last London game of 2024. Jags beating up on the Patriots 32-16. How did y'all let me lone wolf the Jacksonville Jaguars against the New England Patriots? I don't know how y'all let me do that. But thank you for the win, because I needed it in a weird weekend, which it wasn't. Everyone was over 500, but still. I was on the losing end of, I think, all the splits. All the splits that we had in the NFL, I think I lost every single one. Yeah. The Texans game, the Falcons game, and the 49ers game were the 3 splits that we had, and I lost all of them. But yeah, I mean, this is what the Jags do, though, right? They get a win in London, and then it's like, wow, the Jags actually have momentum for once. But
if you say so.
Well, I am saying so. Because that's what they do. That is what they do. Um, However, I think I heard, if I remember correctly, on the game they were talking about the Jags schedule, and I don't know if they're going to have momentum or not because they have to come back home and they have to come up to Philadelphia. Then they host your Vikings.
Mm-hmm.
Then they got to go
Yes,
to
they
Detroit. To Detroit after that.
Oh yeah.
Then they have a bye week. Then they host the Texans.
So 2
Quite
and
a
9.
4-game stretch.
Doug Peterson
getting fired. When is he getting fired? Oh, bro, if he gets fired in Philadelphia, that would be interesting.
That'd be iconic.
That would be very intriguing to watch that happen. Hey, at least he'd know people that if he gets fired, he'd like, bro, can I stay with you for like a night?
Yeah. Hey man, I don't have anywhere to go.
But yeah, the Jags were really good in this game. Drake May, again, they've lost, right? In Drake May's both starts so far, but the stats have not been bad, and he's made some throws that you're like, it looks like he could be the guy. So
yeah, I mean, he was my number 2 quarterback in the draft for a reason. I mean, he looks good. It really is. This run game is awful. It is horrendous, and they keep running it on first down when they shouldn't. They can't get any momentum from running the ball on first down. I think in like 8 first down runs, they amassed a total of 1 yard. 1 total yard in 8 attempts. I mean, that's just, you can't have that kind of play calling when you're trying to win a game. You can't constantly put the ball on the ground first down and get nothing. You have to trust Drake. And I mean, he's pulling his end. I mean, running game isn't.
Yeah, for sure. It's just, it's kind of like the Panthers. It's just like there's no roster, 70.3% from May, 276, 2 touchdowns, 3 carries, 18 yards. They don't have the offensive line. And I think the receivers aren't as bad as people want to say they are, because Pop Douglas has actually been having a decent season. Jalen Polk, though, he's got to figure it out, man. He continues. He's got the yips. He's been dropping them a lot.
He's a bit of a diva on those social medias. You see his Instagram post?
No, I did.
Deuces.
I did hear that he
Yeah,
kept saying that he still has the best hands in the league. Doesn't seem like it. Yeah. And bro, you're 7 games into your rookie season. Like, calm down.
Yeah, like, just accept that this is going to be growing pains. Don't try to make it weird.
T-Law, though, 75.
Don't be a diva.
T-Law, though, 75%, 193, touchdown, 2 carries, 13 yards. Got a lot of help from Tank Bigsby. As, good Lord, Travis Etienne's fantasy stock continues to plummet, and I will never be able to get rid of him now. 26 carries, 118, 2 touchdowns from Bigsby. I think that's the one thing, though, is like, you got to look at it. Bigsby doesn't catch the ball. He gets subbed out on third downs a lot. It's kind of actually like the Steelers situation. Literally, I was watching that Sunday night game on like literally every third down, no matter what distance it was. Jaylen Warren was coming in on the third down. Although Najee Harris can catch the ball, he has a bunch of catches in his career. Like you mentioned, Patriots can run the ball. Stevenson, 18 yards, their leading rusher, tied with Drake May, actually. Hunter Henry, good game for him, leading the game in receiving, 8 for 92 on 9 targets. Defensively, I'm going to go with Jacksonville linebacker Devin Lloyd, 11 tackles, 5 solos, 1 sack, 1 tackle loss, QB hit. Parker Washington as well, big momentum booster in this game, 96-yard punt return touchdown to the house. Jacksonville -6.5 covered easily over 41.5. Go Birds, baby, 28-3 over the Giants, wrecking them. I knew this type of game was coming. I didn't know we were going to beat them by 25, but I just knew, like, Saquon, he was going to do very, very well going back to MetLife. And that he did. Ran all over the Giants. 17 carries, 176 yards, a touchdown, 2 receptions for 11 yards. Second most rushing yards against his former team in NFL history. Cedric Benson, the most. I think he had like 194 against the Bears when he played for the Bengals.
Or that game.
Or reverse, whatever it was. I don't know. Yeah. But yeah. And it's funny also, Saquon has more touchdowns at MetLife Stadium this year than Daniel Jones does. So I love that stat so much. He has still not scored at home this year, has Daniel Jones. Jalen Hurts didn't have to do a lot. 71.4%, 114 touchdown, 7 carries, 22 yards, 2 rushings, touchdowns. He had the big touchdown throw to A.J. Brown on 4th and 3. That was just a spectacular throw. Giants, though, Daniel Jones, 66.7%, 99 yards, 5 carries, 20 yards. Drew Lock came in at the end, 3 of 8, 37.5%, 6 yards, and a 13-yard carry. So that's the thing for Giants fans. Like, bro, like you can't want Daniel Jones to sit because you got a glimpse of what Drew Lock looks like. It's not much better, if at all. It might be worse. But yeah, very happy. I love when we can kill the Giants. It's always a joy. Always a joyous time.
God, I can't wait to watch this team on Thanksgiving. It's not like the rest of the division is also very good, but they had to pick the one team that would be a absolute snore fest to play to Dallas.
Yeah. A.J. Brown led the game in receiving, 5 for 89, touchdown on 5 targets. And there's a lot of defense in this game. What was the total here? Eagles had 8, I believe. Let's see. Yeah, Eagles had 8 sacks. Giants had 5. So 13 total sacks in this game. It was just ridiculous. First quarter, no score. A lot of defense there. I mean, literally, I don't even know who to pick because there was too many guys, too many good players.
I'll pick one. I'll go.
Go ahead.
Pick?
Go ahead.
I'll go Philadelphia linebacker Nakobe Dean. 11 tackles, 6 solos, 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, and 4, count them, 1, 2, 3, 4 QB hits. I mean, what's not to love about that stat line right there? Everywhere and anywhere.
And he's a Georgia Bulldog.
Of course, one of your guys.
Dean, Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith all had great games. All Georgia Bulldogs. And Bryce Huff. Bryce Huff got a sack finally. Yeah.
Finally.
He finally did something.
He showed up.
Yeah, Eagles covered easily -3.5, under 42.5. Bills 34-10. It ended up as a blowout against the Titans. Didn't start very well. 10-0. They were down to the Mason Rudolph-led Titans as Will Levis was out for this game with his AC joint injury. Josh Allen, though, 63.6%, 223, 2 touchdowns. Mason Rudolph, 62.5%, 215, touchdown, a pick, 5 carries, 13 yards, and a fumble. Tony Pollard led the game in rushing for Tennessee, 16 for 61, 2 catches for 4 yards on 6 targets. The rookie Ray Davis had a touchdown, as did James Cook. Another rookie wide receiver, Keon Coleman. He led the game. Big day for him. First 100-yard performance of his career, 4 for 125 on 7 targets. And how about Coop? Coop scoring in his first game as a Bill. There you go. Browns fans love to see that. And defensively, I'm going to go with Bills defensive end Greg Rousseau. 5 tackles, 2 solos, a half a sack, 6 QB hits on Rudolph. Yeah, Bills covered easily, -9.5, over 41.5. I think it's crazy. Buffalo has the easiest path to a division title of anyone in the NFL right now.
Yeah. On the other hand, we have the NFC North.
Yeah, bro. What the hell?
Starting with this.
The freaking Packers,
yeah,
man.
What the hell?
24-22. Texans had it. And then they didn't. The new man in town, Brandon McManus. I mean, again, I figured he would be the guy to finally end the Packers' kicking woes, because McManus has been one of the best kickers in NFL. So not surprised, really, that he ended up with a game winner after only signing on Wednesday. But, yeah, Jordan Love, 72.7%, 223 touchdowns, 2 picks. CJ Stroud, paltry, just absolutely dog water in this game. 47.6%, 86 yards, 5 carries, 19 yards. Jimmy, was that a shake of the head like you had him in fantasy or something?
No, I'm just darn. You had to play like that against a rival, man. Come on.
Yeah, it was the second lowest I think I heard of his career in terms of yards. Might have been the lowest. I couldn't remember. But it sucks because they threw away a great day from Joe Mixon. 25 carries, 115 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 receptions for 9 yards as well. So excellent day and tough offensive output for Houston. Romeo Doubs had a good day, 10 targets, caught 8 for 94. And defensively, this was another just stacked game. How about Packers linebacker Eric Wilson? 6 tackles, all of them solos, 2 sacks, 4 tackles for loss, 1 pass defense, and 2 QB hits. Viking, Jimmy. Viking. He was on the Vikings. He was on the Vikings before.
I remember him, yeah. Yeah. Old name.
The Texans did cover, though, +3.5, under 47.5. The Lions, 31-29 over the Vikings. John got us all. He lone wolfed the Lions. Go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't get to watch this game. I was actually driving back from Ohio. I was following along on my phone. But, I mean, it sucks. You're going to eventually lose. You can't be undefeated the entire season. You're not the Dolphins. But, I mean, this is kind of loss you kind of accept when you're facing a team that sees itself as a Super Bowl contender. I mean, it went down to the wire. It's very even. I can't blame anyone. I can't blame refs. I can't blame play calling. It was a good game, and it came down to the wire. I mean, I'm not happy, obviously. You're never happy with a loss, but I'm glad we put up a fight and we had a really good game. And a couple third down conversions and a better defensive performance in the second quarter. Maybe this game flips. But, yeah, I mean, this is a kind of game where you're all right with not being undefeated. It sucks that you lose to a division rival, but, I mean, Vikings were there. They were neck and neck. They came back in the third quarter and fourth quarter. They took the lead, and they couldn't get one last defensive stop to prevent a field goal. And that's just really what it came down to.
Yeah, it's literally as up and down. It ended up being the same exact game as the Packers game there, which happened
essentially
just like a minute apart. So I think I don't know what the exact time was on the difference between the field goals, but it was pretty close. But yeah, Vikings up 10-zip at the end of one. Then they got blitzed by the Lions in the second quarter, 21 points going into half, 21-10. Got a touchdown. They were even. It was 7-7 in the third quarter. So they're still down by 11 going into fourth. Then they got all the way back to the lead with Ivan Pace's fumble return for a touchdown. And then 15 seconds left. Jake Bates nails one from 44. But yeah, good game though. Excellent quarterback play there.
Good game.
I mean, Jared Goff is the hottest quarterback in the league right now. 88%. 282 touchdowns. He hasn't thrown an interception in, I think, 4 games.
Yeah, I think he since his 3 interception game against the Bucs, he figured it out.
Yeah. Darnold was good though as well. 81.5%, 259 touchdown. He did throw a pick though. 4 carries for 39 yards as well. Interesting rushing output. Sam Darnold getting the rushing yards up there. But Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery got injured. Yeah, Montgomery got injured. Gibbs said, "I got it." 15 carries, 116 yards, 2 touchdowns, 4 catches for 44 yards. And how about Aaron Jones? First touch back, he scores.
Yeah, that was incredible. I mean, if there's one thing I can just say about this Lions team, that offensive line is insane. There's not a single weakness on that line. Like, you don't have a quarterback that throws more touchdowns and incompletions in 4 weeks unless you have a line of the century, and they're insane.
Amon-Ra also over 100, 8 for 112 and a touchdown, caught all 8 of his targets. JJ scored as well. Thank you, sir. Thank you. That helped
You're welcome.
My massive win on my touchdown score parlay. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot of great performance. I got to go with 2 guys though. I got to go both those Vikings players there. Ivan Pace, 10 tackles, 3 solos, sack, QB hit, 36-yard fumble return for a touchdown. I continue to have the gink because he's balling out,
baby.
7 tackles, 6 solos, 2 sacks, 3 tackles for loss, 2 QB hits. Got to shout out Brian Branch though too. This man has been on fire on the back end for Detroit. I don't know how many interceptions he has. I think he has at least 1 in the last 3 games. So yeah, he's been balling out. Lions plus 1.5 win outright over 50.5. Good Lord. What the hell, Falcons? 34-14 Seahawks win it in Atlanta. Yeah, I mean, I don't really know what happened. Kirk Cousins just was not it, apparently. 68.6%, 232 touchdown, 2 picks, and a fumble. Geno, 64.3%, 207, 2 touchdowns, 4 carries, 15 yards. Bijan over 100, 21 carries, 103 yards, touchdown, caught 3 of his 5 targets for 40 yards. Kenneth Walker, big day, 2 touchdowns for him, 1 on the ground, 1 through the air. DK Metcalf, 1 yard short of 100, caught 4 of his 7 targets for 99 yards and a touchdown before going out with an injury. And then another great game for defense was this one. And I got to go with another 2-player co-defensive players of the game. Defensive end Draymond Jones for Seattle, 2 tackles, both of them solos, 1 sack, 2 tackles for loss, 1 pass defense, then 4 QB hits. And his teammate linebacker Derek Hall, 1 tackle, it was a solo, 1 QB hit, and a 64-yard fumble return for a touchdown. And yeah, how about Seattle pending tonight's games? I think they will have the lead. They do have the lead, in the NFC West. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. Arizona wins tonight. Potentially, they could jump San Francisco and get into second place. That is one of the weirdest, I think, division races so far in the league. I don't think anyone saw that division being that bad. In terms of record. Seahawks plus 2.5 went outright, under 51.5. Yeah, I had that one going over. Seahawks did their job. Falcons just did not score enough points. Bengals 21-14 over the Browns. And this one was not as close as the score says. It was 21-7, and then Cleveland scored late. But yeah, Joe Burrow, don't look now. The Bengals have won 2 in a row, and they're one game out of 500. Unfortunately, Joe, you got to play the Eagles this week. You're not going to win. Sorry. Just win 2 more again after that, and you'll be 500 at 5-5. So go ahead. Joe Burrow, though, 60%, 181, 2 touchdowns. And the Browns played all 3 of their quarterbacks in this game. Deshaun Watson going down injured, 88.2%, 128. Dorian Thompson-Robinson down injured, 45.8%, 82 yards, 2 picks, 3 carries, 44 yards. Jameis Winston was the emergency quarterback in this game, which opened a lot of eyes. There were a lot of people that saw the inactive list, and they were like, what do you mean? Like, Jameis is the third QB today and not the backup like he had been for the entire season so far. He got in, though, anyways, 45.5%, 5 of 11, 67 yards, touchdown. So, yeah, I mean, you got anything on the Cleveland QB situation there?
I don't know. Let me ask my resident Brown fan. Anything on the Deshaun Watson injury? No comment.
Or the QB situation. The QB situation overall. How you feel? DTR. You want Jameis or what? Someone outside the organization.
Anything on the current quarterback situation? You want to trade back for Joe Flacco? She said, I wish they would trade back for Joe Flacco. I mean, they just benched him this week, so, I mean, it's still in the realm.
Well, I think one interesting thing is, no one has talked about it as far as I've heard yet, but in the offseason, the preseason, there was a lot of talk. Ryan Tannehill is the best quarterback available on the free agent market right now. So, I don't know. We'll see. They said DTR's finger injury isn't major. So, potentially they just go. And I wouldn't be shocked, though, if they signed a guy like Tannehill to the practice squad. Every team wants to have 3 quarterbacks in the building. So, wouldn't be shocked if that's a move that they make in Cleveland. Chase Brown, he led the game in rushing, actually tied DTR. 15 carries, 44 yards, 2 catches for 9 yards. Nick Chubb, gotta give a shout out to Nick Chubb. First game back after a major injury, scores in his first game. Otherwise, it was very bad day for him. Just 2 yards per carry on 11 touches or 11 totes. But yeah, did get in the end zone though. As did T. Higgins. He led the game in receiving, caught 4 of his 8 targets for 82 yards and a touchdown. Browns tight end David Njoku, big target day. 14, caught 10 of them for 76 yards and a touchdown. And another really awesome defensive day. The Bengals bookends there. Sam Hubbard and Trey Hendrickson just wrecked the Cleveland offensive line. Hubbard, 3 tackles, all of them solos, sack, tackle for loss, pass defense, 3 QB hits, and a pick for the big boy up front. Hendrickson, 3 tackles, 2 solos, 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, 1 pass defense, and 5 hits on the QB. Bengals minus 5.5, covered under 42.5. Colts get it done, 16-10 over the Dolphins. Anthony Richardson back, and he was not good at all. 41.7%.
Not better than ever.
Yeah, 41.7%, 129. 14 carries, 56 yards, and a fumble. Tyler Huntley got this start again for Miami. 53.8%, 87 yards, a touchdown, 5 carries, 20 yards. He got hurt. Tim Boyle comes in 61.5% for 74 yards. Devon Achane lead the game in rushing, 15 carries, 77 yards, 2 catches for 8 yards. Jonnu Smith, how about him having a good day? Caught all 7 targets for 96 yards and a touchdown. And defensively, I'm going to go with Dolphins defensive tackle Calais Campbell, 5 tackles, all of them solos, 3 tackles for loss, I don't know, Jimmy. I think Joe Flacco a little bit better offensively with Joe at the helm there.
Bring him back. Bring back the king. When are we going to start using the 4-letter word for Anthony Richardson? Because I'm about to say it. I'm afraid I might. I'm about to say it for that guy.
I don't care. That's cool. I never believed in him anyways, so it's fine with me.
Bust.
Yeah, I mean, when he came into the NFL, it was super raw, and his passing attack has not really developed at all so far. Massive arm, but the inaccuracy is still there, and still think another year at Florida would have done him well, probably. But who knows? Florida's a dumpster fire.
Again, it's just I look at him and my immediate thought was just, how are you not giving him the Patrick Mahomes treatment of just putting him behind a veteran QB? Like, why didn't you have Gardner start all last year? Why didn't you have Joe Flacco as a starter going into this year? I think Richardson does have the tools, probably some of the traits. He just doesn't have the quarterback play you need at the NFL level. And it really feels like they're just throwing him out there just to justify the draft pick.
Well, I think also like this offense totally different when Jonathan Taylor's in, which I heard he potentially could be back this week, which would be a massive boost for the Colts offensively. But they did win, though. They did cover -3.5, under 43.5. The Commanders, yeah, just demolishing Carolina 40-7. Dude, literally every single week, one of my best bets is the Panthers spread because for some reason, the sports books continue to have the Panthers opponent at less than 10 every week. So I'm just like, I can't not have that. Like, I'm taking that all day. The Panthers are the worst team by far in the NFL. And then after them, I think it's the Titans. And then after them, I think it's the Patriots. But yeah, I mean, I really, at this point, I don't know how to fix Carolina anymore. Like, there is Andy Dalton his shine has very much worn off after the Raiders win his first start. And I thought it was interesting. They were talking about it during the game, and I was like, they were like, yeah, like Dave Canales said they have a plan in place for Bryce Young to play a little bit, but to not start and not play a ton. They're giving him reps in practice somehow. And I don't know. Apparently there is a plan, but he will not tell anyone what the plan is outside the organization.
The plan is to trade him to the Browns for a 4th-round pick in the offseason. The reverse Baker Mayfield trade.
I would do that right now. I would take that. That's fine.
I think legitimately, I was texting my in-laws because they're big Browns fans. They're like, would they do it? I'm like, David Tepper is somehow more impatient than Jimmy Haslam. And that takes a gift to do. And I would not be surprised if he's like, yeah, 4th-round pick. I'll trade him.
Well, I think where those two rosters are, I don't want to give you PTSD, Jimmy, but there's some Sam Bradford type of comparisons I could make where the Panthers ask for a lot because of the situation that the Browns are in. The roster that they have, despite their record, I'm just saying. I would, especially in season right now, I think Bryce Young's worth more right now in season than he would be in the offseason. Because in the offseason, you can make moves to get other quarterbacks. Right now, you can't. Like, there's not a lot of better options to either sign or trade for if you're the Cleveland Browns. But at the same time, I think they should just continue forward. Not with DTR, with Jameis, I think should be. But even though we're not on the Browns anymore. But yeah, concern in Washington for Jaden Daniels getting injured in this game. Concern for my fantasy team as well. Not really. He's in my dynasty league, so I'm okay. I have Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts as well, so it's cool. 2 for 2 for Jaden Daniels, just 6 yards, 3 carries for 50 yards before he got injured. Marcus Mariota, I was impressed. It didn't start out very good for Mariota. He kind of stumbled a little bit early on, just trying to get the timing down with the receivers that he doesn't work with at all during the week. But once he did, like, he really settled in and was good. 78.3%, 205, 2 touchdowns, 11 carries, 34 yards. And one thing I will say, Marcus, like, you're not 23-year-old Marcus Mariota anymore. He took the one shot that I was like, bro, you got to get down. Like, Jaden's already hurt. Like, you don't need to get hurt as well. But yeah, like I said, Andy Dalton, 68.8%, 93 yards, 2 picks. And dude, the interceptions for him have been terrible. Like, he's throwing it right to guys. So at this point, it's like, is he better than Bryce? I don't know. I don't know. I really don't. Brian Robinson led the game in rushing, 71 yards on 12 carries, touchdown. Big day for Terry McLaurin. Gary Terry caught all 6 of his targets for 98 yards. And defensively, dude, how about the day for Dante Fowler? 2 tackles, both of them solos, 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss, QB, pass deflection, QB hit, and a 67-yard pick 6. Commanders, minus 10.5 covered, under 50.5. Dude, I had the over. Washington scored 40. How did that over not hit? That's ridiculous. Rams, they got in a fight with the Raiders, 20-15. I was surprised at how close this one was. Matthew Stafford, 60.9%, 154 a pick. Yeah, Aiden O'Connell started, got hurt, 60%, 6 of 10, 52 yards, and then Minshew was doing Minshew things, 44.1%, 154, 3 picks.
Yeah, baby.
3 picks and a fumble. That's all you can ask for. And they still almost won. And they still almost won.
It's so crazy to me that this was a 1-score game. And they could have tied it if they just went for it on 4th and goal instead of settling for 3. I don't understand that play call.
Yeah, Daniel Carlson, 5 field goals in this game for the Raiders. Alexander Madison. That was one thing, though. At least they got the running game going finally. Madison there led the game, 23 carries, 92 yards, 3 catches for 31 yards. Kyron Williams, 2 touchdowns for him on the day for LA. Brock Bowers had a big game, caught 10 of his 14 targets for 93 yards. And another good defensive game here. I'm going to go with Rams safety Cameron Curl, 7 tackles, all of them solos, 2 pass defense and a 33-yard fumble return for a touchdown. Raiders plus 7.5 covered, under 43.5. Super Bowl rematch here, and the Chiefs win again, 28-18. The lone undefeated team left in the league, and everyone's talking about it. They're like, bro, like, the amount of injuries and free agent losses that this team had, they still haven't lost. It's ridiculous, bro. It's rigged. It's rigged, Jimmy. It's rigged. It's rigged.
Playing. I mean, it is. I'm going to say it. It is. It's rigged.
I mean, Brock Purdy, bro, like, this was a trash game for him. 54.8%, 212, 3 picks, 8 carries, 27 yards, 2 touchdowns. Who would have thought that neither quarterback would throw a touchdown in this game, but they would combine for 3 rushing touchdowns? I did. I called it. Mahomes here, 59.3%, 154, 2 picks, 5 carries, 39 yards, and a touchdown run as well. Kareem Hunt, I think he's back. 2 really solid games back in KC. 78 yards on 22 carries, 2 touchdown runs, 2 catches for 5 yards. And then leading the game in receiving was 49ers tight end George Kittle, caught 6 of his 7 targets for 92 yards. Defensively, I'm going to go with 49ers defensive end Leonard Floyd, 5 tackles, 1 solo, 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss, 2 QB hits. Chiefs plus 2.5 went outright, under 47.5. Sunday Night Football, yes, sir. Dangerous, baby. Dangerous. And he did not give us his slogan.
Mr. Unlimited.
He did not give us his slogan. I don't know if you saw that post-game interview. He's like, I'm gonna wait till the end. Melissa's like, till the end of what?
He's learning.
Like,
he's learning.
Over.
He's dangerous.
The interview's over. Like, what are you waiting to the end of?
For him, it's like, I got to make the playoffs so I don't look like a head ass.
Well, what is it? It's like do it for the 7 or something like that. Or I forget what he had said originally.
Mr. Unlimited.
Yeah. Steelers Nation, let's weld. Got you. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, another interesting performance from him. 61.5%, 276, touchdown, 2 picks. Things are getting interesting in Gotham. Yeah, like I said, Russell Wilson, 55.2%, 264, 2 touchdowns and a rushing touchdown. And look, I'll admit it. I was one of the detractors. I was like, Coach Tomlin, what the hell are you doing? We're 4-2 with Justin Fields. Like, why? Why would you go to Russell Wilson when everything's going good? And Coach Tomlin said, that's why I get paid the big bucks. That's literally what he said in an interview today. That's why he gets paid the big bucks, and I will pay him whatever he wants for the rest of his life, because this was an awesome, awesome decision that paid off swimmingly. Didn't start good, did not start well, but once Russ shook off the rust, it was fantastic. The deep ball to George Pickens is there all the time, and Pickens finally has a quarterback to give him the ball.
I saw a great tweet today talking about Pickens and Russell. I found it. It says George Pickens and Russell Wilson share the mutual respect and natural chemistry only possessed by 2 equally insane people. I mean, it works. It's just 2 mentally disturbed men just playing some catch.
Yeah. And also you saw it open up the running game for Najee Harris as well. 21 carries, 102 yards, a touchdown for Najee. He was really running very well, especially at the end of the game when they needed to have it and run out the clock. Got the touchdown at the end to seal it. I just think it was a great game plan from the Steelers offensively. And this is what I said, though, in the preseason and, when the Steelers got Russell Wilson and then got Arthur Smith, I was like, I think Russell's really fit for this offense. Him and Justin Fields, very fit for this offense. Run the ball, play action off of it. I just think it's a great scheme for either quarterback. But Breece Hall, how about him? Over 100 receiving, caught 6 of his 9 targets for 103 yards. Struggled to run the ball, though, just 38 yards on 12 carries. Did score. Pickens over 100 as well, caught 5 of his 9 targets for 111 yards and a touchdown. And even incompletions, George Pickens makes ridiculous catches. I think he had 2 of his 4 missed targets there. 2 of them, I think, where he just made a ridiculous catch, and it was incomplete, but it didn't matter. Defensively, dude, Beanie Bishop and dude, freaking Chris Collinsworth calling him Beanie Baby all night was awesome. That was quality TV. The undrafted rookie out of West Virginia was awesome. 6 tackles, 5 solos, tackle for loss, 2 pass defense, and 2 picks. I will I will give the Rooks some flack, though. You should have scored, man. You should have scored. I don't know how you get dragged down at the 1 yard line after running all that way. But the one critique I'll have for Beanie Bishop, though, in this game. Steelers plus 2.5 win outright over 40.5. Dude, I was kind of mad. I had the under. It could have continued the parlay into today, which was Ravens money line. But it's okay. I'd rather lose money and get the win for my team, right?
Mm-hmm.
So breaking news is an interesting thing today because we do somewhat have breaking news. We want to go into Ayuk, considering that was kind of just announced.
Yeah, kind of broke, kind of early.
Yeah, I mean, it was 34 minutes ago, but but yeah, so yeah, it's official. Brandon Ayuk done for the year, torn ACL and MCL. So long road to recovery for Ayuk there, and I'm kind of distraught that I dropped Jawan Jennings in one or two of my leagues because I was like, damn,
I still got him. I got my boy.
He's back up. He's back up.
Get your reps, man. Get your reps.
It will be interesting, though, to see what the split is going to be opposite of Debo because Pearsall actually had a pretty solid game in his first game of his rookie season. So I'm interested to see if they're going to elevate Pearsall above Jawan just because he's a first-round pick, or if they're going to take it a little bit slower with Ricky and continue to play Jawan as the number 2 there. Into college news, though, it's we had some firings. It's firing season. East Carolina was the first one to do it in season. We had one, I forget who it was, preseason. Someone fired their coach preseason. I can't remember who it was. But ECU, they are looking for their next head coach now. Head coach Mike Houston out after 5+ seasons, 27-38 in those years. Struggling program. They just got blitzed by Army this week, which everyone has been doing, but still. Indiana dealing with an issue. Quarterback Curtis Rourke, he is going to miss this week's game against Washington, dealing with a right thumb injury. So something worth noting. I do think, though, that Indiana can sustain it. Let me just kind of – because they got Taven Jackson, who played pretty well against Nebraska, so he's going to be the starter for you going forward this week at the very worst. So, yeah, I think Indiana's going to be okay, though. Oklahoma, they have fired offensive coordinator Seth Luttrell after just 7 games with the program. Oklahoma is one of the worst offenses in the country. They've had quarterback issues with Michael Hawkins and Jackson Arnold, and they got railed really early against South Carolina. I think they were down 24-3 real quick after I think Jackson Arnold was the starter, and he threw 3 picks. So, yeah. Southern Miss, they have fired their head coach, Will Hall, 2 years ago, 7-6 season, made a bowl game, won a bowl game, the AutoZone Liberty Bowl, I think it was. And then just hasn't been great in the last 2 seasons, 14-30 in his 3+ seasons at the helm for the Eagles there. So he is out. And Utah offensive coordinator Andy Ludwig has resigned as well. That one I thought was a little interesting. I don't know if it was necessarily his fault. Cam Rising's been injured, and he's their best shot at quarterback. So, but with the program since I think 2019, they said. So yeah, they are looking for a new OC there at Utah. One UFL news to note: the Battlehawks, they re-signed a big-time guy, defensive end Pita Tamapenu, one of the best defensive players in the UFL, back in St. Louis for another run this spring. NFL news. Oops. The Cardinals, they are going to wear their black jerseys tonight. So just to give you a little snapshot of what you're going to see against the Chargers, it looks like this. There's Kyler rocking it. So yeah, I like them. They're pretty solid. I always loved the black jerseys. Black jerseys are one of my favorite things in the NFL. I don't know why. It just it looks so clean.
I think they're solid. I think the problem is I don't like the red, not the red numbering, but red lettering on the back. It's kind of hard to read on a broadcast.
Yeah.
I think they should do red outline with white interior. I think that would make it easier to read.
Yeah, maybe.
Spitballing, come on, give me a call. Or is it...
Interesting one I saw Adam Schefter said about this. So when the Jets acquired Devontae Adams, teams started calling the Jets about Garrett Wilson potentially, which would be just counterintuitive. It would make no sense to trade for a 30-plus-year-old receiver and then trade your superstar 20-something receiver. It just make no sense. So obviously the Jets shut down all those calls.
Yeah, here's how the calls went. Hey, what about Garrett Wilson? No. I mean, I would guess they might be fielding calls for other wide receivers. I could see them taking calls like Lazard or Mike Williams.
Oh, Mike Williams, bro.
For Garrett Wilson, But yeah, like Garrett Wilson, that'd be insane. That'd be the biggest incompetent move I've seen out of an organization in a long time.
Dude, I still think Steelers, bro. Steelers get in there, send I don't know. If you want to overpay, send a fifth for Mike Williams. He's only signed this year anyways. He signed a one-year contract with the Jets. So I would be totally comfortable sending a fifth, up to a fifth for Mike Williams right now.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense.
The Lions, interesting one. They are keeping the door open for a Aiden Hutchinson return this season. Obviously, they would have to make the Super Bowl essentially for him to even be close. But they are not completely shutting the door on Aiden Hutchinson returning this season.
Yeah, I heard about it. What was the timeline? 4 to 6 months. So Super Bowl would be the very optimistic 4-month window.
Yep. Yeah.
So I mean, hey, good for him if he can. But I would say if you make the Super Bowl and he's not 100%, I'd be like, listen, we made the Super Bowl without him. I don't want to put in a situation where at Aiden Hutchinson at 70% and think that's good enough.
I would. If you're playing, I would. T.O. played in the Super Bowl with screws in his ankle. So no player, if a player can get on the field, no player is not going to mortgage their future to play in a Super Bowl. I'll just say that.
Yeah. Again, super optimistic, even seeing if he'd have a chance at the Super Bowl, because that is early window for the recovery.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll see. The Jets. How about the Jets? They lost again, but they got some good news on yesterday. Hassan Reddick ending his holdout, agreeing to a contract adjustment, and the Jets are nice enough to waive over $12 million in fines that he accrued while doing his holdout. So the Jets getting Hassan Reddick back as they are down 3 games to the Bills in the division. 3.5, really, because they already lost to them. Couple schedule changes to Week 9 slate here. Your Vikes getting flexed. into Sunday night. Colts at Vikings going from 4:05 to Sunday Night Football, and the Eagles hosting the Jags. That's moving from Sunday night to the 4:05 window there. That's interesting. Eagles have
Yeah, you
gotten
know what
moved.
that means.
What?
I was gonna say, you know what that means. Sam Darnold is movie. Sam Darnold and Anthony Richardson is what the people want to see.
Yeah.
I think it's just more just Jags are that bad.
I love hosting Doug Peterson. The last time the Eagles hosted the Jags, I think we sacked Trevor Lawrence 7 times, and it was a struggle because it was raining, but we did win. We did beat Jacksonville in Philadelphia, so it's a good time. But yeah, it's interesting though. Eagles have been the subject of 2 moves in back-to-back weeks. Their game this week got moved, from the 4:25 slot to 1 o'clock, and a couple IR moves. The Titans placing wide receiver Traylon Burks on IR with a knee injury, and the Bucks doing the same with corner Jamel Dean with a hamstring injury. And how about IR activation? The Dolphins. They are designating quarterback Tua Tagovailoa to return off of IR. He is apparently on track to play this week. Has to pass a rigorous concussion test still, but we're probably going to get Tua Tagovailoa back on the field in Week 8.
Without a Guardians cap.
Yeah, he's not.
According
He's
to
not
Tua.
Yeah, which is fine. It's cool.
Tua, welcome to CTESPN.
All right, injuries. We already said about the Browns. Couple ones here. Quarterback Deshaun Watson done for the year. Torn Achilles. It's compounding in Cleveland right now with the bad start record-wise, and now Deshaun's gone, and fans are like, well, maybe he should be gone forever.
Yeah. Only gets worse from here.
Yeah, I mentioned DTR there, his finger injury, not expected to be major, so we will see who Coach Stefanski goes with this week, whether it's him or if he goes with Jameis, which, again, I think Jameis is your best shot. I think if you are actually committed to trying to win games, Jameis Winston is going to give you your best opportunity to do
that. Or Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah. The Raiders quarterback Aiden O'Connell got the start this week. However, unfortunately for him, broken thumb. He is out 4 to 6 weeks there. So Minshew back at the helm for Vegas. Rams head coach Sean McVay announcing wide receiver Cooper Kupp's got to play on Thursday. So, Jimmy, your Vikes got to defend him now.
Yeah. N-word.
For the Chiefs, corner Jalen Watson, he fractured his ankle, potentially out for the rest of the year. I think that's kind of what we talked about with Aiden Hutchinson. You never know how long it's going to take, but we'll see when and if Jalen Watson can get back on the field before the Chiefs season ends, which we know is going to be in the Super Bowl, right? So,
of course.
The Bengals left tackle Orlando Brown Jr. initially diagnosed as a calf strain. They're officially putting it as a knee sprain, which is interesting. But yeah, dealing with some leg issue there for Orlando Brown. Chiefs, the hits just keep coming to the wide receiver room for Kansas City. Juju Smith-Schuster, hamstring injury. He is out this week already. They already said he's not playing. So, yeah, I mean, I have no clue who's catching the ball in Kansas City right now. No clue. The Commanders announced rookie quarterback Jaden Daniels. He is listed as week to week with his rib injury. And the Seahawks wide receiver DK Metcalf, grade 1 MCL sprain, and officially listed as week to week. We got some more updates as well. Coach Shanahan saying Christian McCaffrey unlikely to play this Sunday night against the Cowboys. However, after the bye week next week, could potentially be back. So looks like 2 more weeks potentially for CMC, and then we might see him back. Bucks running back Rashad White, he is listed as questionable tonight, but is active. How about Debo? We talked about Jawan Jennings, and Jawan might be number 1 again because Debo Samuel taken to the hospital today, pneumonia, fluid in his lungs, no timetable for his return. So that is massive for San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
And also, just one other thing to note, Dolphins placing wide receiver Braxton Berrios on IR today, torn ACL for him, so he is done for the year. Ins and outs for tonight. Cardinals rookie wide receiver Marvin Harrison Jr. dealing with a concussion, missed the last 2 games. He will play tonight, they said. And for the Bucks, defense tackle Vita Vea with a hamstring injury. He is expected to play tonight as well. And one workouts note, the Saints, they worked out Bills wide receiver Marquez Valdez-Scantling, more than likely going to sign with New Orleans.
I think they did sign him.
Okay. So there you go.
I think Rappaport, like half an hour ago, said they went all the way and signed the guy.
Okay. Must have missed it. Anyways, here we go. Pick standings. Yeah, I'm still at the bottom. John was the only one. He got us last week, 2-0. He was on the right side of the split in the Thursday night Broncos Saints game, and he was with y'all going with the Bills, which I'm still pissed at. The Jets should have won. Jets should have won that game. I should have got a lone wolf win on that. But I did not. Luckily, the Broncos won for me, so I tied you and Logan at 1-1. You and Logan still at the top, though. 11-4. 2 up on John, who got 1 on y'all, and I am still 3 back as we get near the halfway point of the season. Tonight's first game, Ravens, 3.5-point favorites in Tampa, 4-point favorites, actually. It's all Baltimore for us. I think it'll be an interesting game. It's just, I think the Ravens have the better roster, and that's the only reason I'm picking Baltimore.
Yeah, I think Baltimore's just a wagon right now with how they've played the last couple weeks.
Yeah. Like Derrick Henry to score, as he seems to do every game. It's going to be harder with Vita Vea in there now. But, yeah, I don't know. I think this high-scoring game potentially 49.5 is the total, though. That's a lot. Do we think it goes over?
I'm going to say yeah. I think both of these defenses have good, not great defenses. Both of these teams have good, not great defenses. So, and both of these offenses like to really open up the field. So, yeah, I think the over could hit.
Coming up at 8:15 on ABC, ESPN, and ESPN Plus. And the other game tonight, we got a split. Chargers at the Cardinals. Chargers getting a 1 point on the road. And it's you and Logan, the two leaders of the Monday show, versus John and I. We're trying to catch y'all. John and I are teaming up to try to catch y'all. So,
yeah, I mean, we'll see about it.
Yeah, I think this is similar to the Ravens game. I think these are close teams, despite the disparity in the record. And what what I see with the Chargers, though, is the running game. I think J.K. Dobbins is going to be able to run the ball very well against this Cardinals defense. And then Justin Herbert's going to use the play action attack to attack a secondary that isn't that great. And on the Cardinals side of it, the Chargers defense is a top 10 unit, maybe even top 5 right now. So you talk about the Ravens being a wagon. The Chargers defense has been a wagon this year so far. And I think they're going to stifle Kyler and that Cards offense.
Well, good luck with that. I'm going with the black jersey luck. Kyler Murray is going to be a little too dynamic. Getting Marvin Harrison Jr. back. He's got his weapon. He's got his toys. I think this offense can wake up for the Cardinals. So, yeah, going Cards.
Logan agrees.
Logan, me and him, smart dude.
Total 44.5. I am leaning on the under. 9 p.m. ESPN Plus. Exclusively on ESPN Plus. The first Monday night game ever exclusively on ESPN Plus. Thursday night, your Vikes, 3-point favorites in LA, face the Rams at SoFi Stadium, and we are all on Jimmy's Vikings. Cooper Kupp be damned.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think even with Kupp back, that offense is very limited, in my opinion. I think Kevin O'Connell, he's a Sean McVay student. So I think he's going to run his offense better than Sean will on Thursday night. He has better weapons. He has better guys on the offense. And again, Rams defense, it's not awful, but it's not the Lions. And Vikings were still able to get in the end zone against that Lions defense. So I think, and coming off a tough loss, I think the Vikings will try to come out motivated and try to get back in the win column.
Yeah, I love this spread. I absolutely this is a hammer for me on the spread. I think 3 is way too little for the Vikings. And the reason I've been picking the Vikings all year is because of their defense. Flo, despite giving up 31 points, the defense still scored a touchdown against the Lions and gave the Vikings the lead with that defensive touchdown. So that's exactly why I'm going. I don't trust the Rams offensive line to be able to block this Vikings front seven. So I think it's going to be a tough night for Matthew Stafford.
Yeah. So rooting for the Vikes. Come on, let's get back in the win column. 6-1 sounds real good.
48.5 is the total. I like the over.
I gotta go.
You going under? Oh, okay.
I'm gonna go under, man. I think Vikings score, but I don't see them scoring a lot, and I don't see the Rams scoring a lot. I see this game being like 28-13. Kind of just, Vikings will get in the end zone. Rams will get a couple scores, but not a lot. I mean, maybe like 30, 31-13, something like that. I mean, it'll be close, but I don't see the Vikings running up the score, and I don't see the Rams making it close.
I think the Vikings score a bunch, at least 30, and the Rams potentially get into the end zone twice. It'll be close, but I do think the Vikings are going to score enough to get them into the end, to get them over. 8:15 p.m. on Prime Video. And that is the show for.
We do have breaking news if you want me. Sorry, I had breaking news. You want to hear it?
Yeah, I see Ian Rappaport. You can go ahead.
Yeah, I got Tom Pelissero. Tweeted out the Raiders are signing Desmond Ridder off the Cardinals practice squad, per sources.
Yes,
so it looks like it's either going to be Minshew or Ridder.
Yeah, it's interesting. The Cardinals traded for Desmond Ridder and then didn't keep him on the active roster to keep him away from other teams. But
yeah, that trade to this day, I never understood. Giving away a pretty competitive wide receiver for a admittedly third string quarterback at best. That was very odd.
although it didn't matter because Rondale Moore tore his ACL in the preseason. So
That's true. That's true. So I guess a lose for now.
yeah, but that's the show for today. Next week we'll be back talking the ender of week 8, Monday Night Football, Giants at the Steelers, and then we got the week 9 opener, Texans at the Jets. So it does not get easier for the New York Jets. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media at FAA Podcast and Instagram and X. FA_bets on X as well. FAPodcast.com is our website. You check us out here on YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram, as well as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio. We will see y'all back for Football Friday.